Hello. Let's get over here. So Wayne never responded to me, so I'm not sure if he's coming or not. I would think he would be, but we'll give him a minute or two. Okay, go ahead and jump on in if y'all are ready. Cool. Welcome back. Module 3, halfway done. Starting halfway done. Um, Start talking about the back end, server side, very fun. Any questions about anything we went over so far that you might have thought of on the break? All good. Okay. All right. If you think of anything, let me know. Um, okay, so we went over the front end, right? So we got our HTML, CSS, JavaScript, a little house. So now we're talking about the back end, which you could think of as kind of like uh, maybe like a post office, I guess. So you're gonna send, like you could send mail there, right? Which would be weird, but your mail goes there. And then you can receive stuff, right? So it's all about sending from your front end and then receiving back something. So it's called the request response cycle, which we'll get into. So you're requesting some data or some images or whatever it is, and then your response is you're receiving it back. So you're getting a response back. Um, so we'll go through this kind of quick, and then I'll show you some stuff. On the browser, we had things we can interact with, like the document, right? Like the document dot get element by ID, all that stuff. There's a window element, which I think we use like window.onload maybe. Um, hey, Wayne's here. Um, so a couple like built-in APIs is really what they are that we could use, right? So on the server side, we have similar things, but we have like process and FS, which is a file system, and then HTTP, which is our hyper something. I think we get to it down here. but it's the protocol that's used to talk from one computer to another, basically, right? So we'll be able to actually access these just like we did like document like GitHub ID. We can do like fs dot I don't remember them right now, like add or something, but you can like add files and take away files and do different things like that. In this on the server. Okay. You can run, and we will run our front end server, or like our React server, or just our front end code, and our Express server or our Node server as our back end. So we'll be running two servers simultaneously when you get into module 5 and 6. A server is just a computer, right? It's just a small part of a computer. And so like when people say, oh, my stuff's in the cloud, like that's just a computer somewhere in the data center. Like it's not really in the cloud yet. There are companies that are trying to put it in space. So that's fun, but it's the same thing, right? It's just somebody else's computer, or your own computer. So, yeah, we'll get into that. Node.js is the language we'll be using. It's JavaScript. It's just a different side of it. Okay. We'll really we talked about npm, I think, a little bit before, Node Package Manager. And so what that does is it allows us to bring in packages that other people have built, so code other people have built, and use them in our own code. And npm itself like manages the packages we bring in. So like if you go to npm.com, maybe com, nope, that's not it. Let's just Google npm. Nope, that's nom. em. Oh, npmjs.com. Okay. So if you go here and you just search packages, see if let's just say we want something to do with email, just for example. Like there's 1,000+ packages for email, just email by itself. And this is all just code that people have written that you can bring into your own code to make stuff happen. So for instance, this one's like React email render. So it transforms React components into HTML email templates. So somebody else built it. We could grab that if we needed it for a specific project and use it right away. The one that we're going to use for our server is called Express. And so this is it here. And you can read through this on your own time if you want to fall asleep. But it will tell you all the things like how to install it, what the features are, things like that. Has a quick start guide. But my point being, npm is huge. There's a ton out there. There's malicious stuff out here as well, so you got to be careful. But it's where all of our packages like come from, basically. Okay. Don't let that overwhelm you right now. Just a little thing. All right, cool. So this kind of breaks down how you're just an example of how to use npm. This is what we're actually going to do because we're going to use Express, but we'll get into that in a minute. This is how Express is set up. We'll get in that to a minute, and get to that in a minute. HTTP I mentioned. So this is the way that you can talk to your server, right? So when you make a request, there's actually I think like 12 methods you can use. These 4 are the most common. So a get method is when we just want to get some data. We're not providing any. So like in our form, how we could put in like, say it's like a contact form, right? So you're like first name, last name, blah, blah. That would be a post request, right? Because we are actually providing data and we're going to create something with it. A get request would be, and we'll see this in a minute, I keep saying that. If you just want to get some data, so like the weather API, if you just want to get some weather back, you could just use a get request to say, hey, give me the weather, and it'll give you the weather. You're not actually providing it with any data. It's just getting it for you. Get and post are definitely the most common. Post is if you want to create something. So with our expense tracker, when we were going to create an expense in our database, we would use a post request to post it to our server and then eventually to our database. Put is just update. Why is it called put? I don't know, but it's just for updating. They could have called it update, maybe. I don't know. But you would use that just to update something. You can technically use post to do that as well. So just know that. And then delete, obviously, is just to delete something, which you can also use post for. So really getting post will get you anything you need. It is better to use the ones that make sense, like put and delete. And then, like I said, there's like 12 more. We can look at them later. But these two definitely going to use. These you might use as well. Okay. So this is showing our Express server, kind of the basic routes that you can have. And we'll get into that again a little bit later. But basically, it's showing a get route, how you're just getting like an expense back. You're not providing it with any data. And then a post, you're actually providing it with some data in your rec.body, which again, we'll get into that. I thought rec.body always sounded cool. I don't know. All it means is request object and then the body of it, which we'll get into. That's it, the request object. So like I said, when you're talking to your server, you're requesting something, whether it be like, hey, give me back this thing, or hey, create this whatever. You're requesting something, and then it's always going to respond back to you with, hey, I did the thing, or hey, there was an error, or whatever it is. Okay. Cool. Status codes. So these are what the server will when it gets a response back to you, it'll give you a response status code. So 200 being good means okay. 400 meaning something happens. And in between each of these, like the main 200 and 400, whatever, there's like a 201, a 204, 206, 212, blah, blah, ton of them. And it all just depends on whoever built the server, like what code they decided to use to give you an accurate description of like what went wrong or what went right. But very common, you'll see 200s, 400s, and 500s. Those are the three biggest ones. So either, hey, it went right, hey, something went wrong, or hey, the server's just not working right. And typically there'll be comments along with that, and it'll say like the code will be 200 or whatever, and then it'll say successful or 400, and we don't recognize that ID or something like that. Should be specific, giving you like what went wrong so you can fix it. Okay. Route order matters. Yeah, we'll get into that later. Okay, we're gonna talk about curl in just a second. Okay. All right. So don't worry, that was fast, but once we start building it, it's gonna make a lot of sense. All right, does anyone know what curl is? No. So I did not know about curl until like 5 years into programming. And I was like, why did no one tell me about curl? So what curl does, it's basically like a headless browser. I don't know if anybody knows what that means, but basically like if you didn't have this UI in your browser, but you wanted to visit this website, you can do that with curl, and it's going to give you back the data from that site. So obviously, if you have no browser, you're not going to see whatever. You're just going to have your terminal, right? So you're not going to see anything except for the data it gives you back. But you can still visit the sites or whatever. And I'm not saying you're going to surf the web with curl. That's not what you're going to do. But you can use it to hit APIs, which basically a server is an API, right? Because that's something we want to hit from our front end as far as web development goes. So curl allows you to do that. Okay. So for example, I have some examples. Let me bring them up over here. And curl stands for client URL, by the way. Just learned that today. I did not know that. But yeah, to use it, all you got to do is pull up your trusty terminal. You can do this in VS Code terminal in your whatever terminal you have. And you just put curl and then the website. So if we wanted to go to this one that I found, So for example, let me see if I can actually bring up the site itself if I still have it up. Okay, so this is an official joke API that somebody made, right? And so the endpoints is what we're going to be talking about a lot. So the endpoint is the URL that you're going to hit with your curl command, or eventually from our front end of our app. Well, yes, from our JavaScript. So what we can do is we can just grab this URL right here, and we can go to our terminal, and we can put curl like I did there, and just paste the URL. Now, it's good practice to put these in quotes, put the URL in quotes, because if there is a question mark or some symbol in the URL, then it'll break it. We'll use question marks later for if we want to pass parameters in our URL. This one doesn't have any, but we will later. So just remember that quote your endpoint. Okay. So we send that off, and then it goes to URL to the API, and the API says, oh, okay, I recognize this endpoint. Here's what I'm going to give you back. And so it gave us this joke. It says, when does a joke become a dad joke? And then there's a punchline, when it becomes apparent. Get it? Okay. And it's random, so you can do another one too, and it'll give you, what did one nut say as he chased another nut? I'm a cashew. Very nice. Great jokes. Okay. Another one that we could hit that's pretty fun is, you might remember the Pokey API. So if we go here, it'll give us an endpoint here that we can hit. So if we want to hit all the info about Ditto, Pokemon Ditto, we can just copy this and go to our terminal. I'm going to clear my terminal, put curl, and then put that, and we get this giant object of information, right? So that obviously is going to be tough to work through, but you can get like all this data and all this stuff just from one little curl command. So curl is very nice. It's very handy. Sometimes, like you can see, it's not very pretty. But you could actually grab this, and I'm not sure if I showed you guys the JSON lint website, but I will show you now. Probably did not. Hurry up, get to the top. Okay. So if I grab everything it's sent back, there's a website called jsonlint.org. Nope, not org. All right, let me just Google it. Oh, it is just .com. Okay. So this is it's a JSON validator, right? So that big object we got back is JSON, right? JavaScript object notation, just an object. So if we paste it in here, and we can hit validate. Nope. Prettify. Yeah, there you go. Hit prettify, and then it'll break it up into like an actual readable object. So this site, I'll put it in the chat. I've used it my entire career. It's a nice way to kind of get everything looking so you can actually read it whenever you get back just a crap ton of data. So I'm going to throw that in the site in the Slack real quick. Okay. Okay. So that's good. So yeah, we're not going to use all that right now, but good way you can get it. There's tons of free APIs out there. There's flight data, there's weather, there's one that sends you random pictures of dogs, just a ton of stuff. So the good thing about curl, and which I wish someone would have told me in the beginning, is you don't have to build it out on your front end to be able to test it, right? If you can hit an API with curl, you're going to get a response back, and you can say, oh, okay, I know this worked, or I'm getting an error or whatever. The first like 5 years, I would make a web page and build this whole thing just to hit the endpoint just to see if it came back. So it just took so much time, and was just was not very productive. So curl is very cool. You will also hear about Postman. which is the most popular API program hitter, something. I don't know what it's called, but this is it. And basically it is, let me get this out of the way. It's just like, it's kind of like a user interface for curl if you didn't want to do it in your terminal. So you would have like your base URL here. This is for work. But you just have the URL that you want to hit, right? So you could put it in here. Like you can make a new one and just say I want to hit that jokes one or whatever, and then just hit send, and it'll show you really nice, like, oh, this is the response that I got or whatever. So it's just kind of a UI instead of using curl in the terminal, just, and this is very popular. Pretty much anywhere you go, this is probably what you'll see the most of. Yeah, just so you're aware. But we're gonna do curl for now anyway, because it's good. It's good. It's easy. It's free, and it's fast. Cool. All right. So now let's get back to what we're actually gonna do. So what we're gonna do today in our 40 minutes left, we're gonna set up an Express server, and then we're gonna make a couple routes and then hit them with curl, and should give you an idea kind of where we're going. So that is the plan. So let me get this over here. And I'm gonna make a new. So actually, let me do this. Okay, so when we create a new project, so we're gonna put an API. Well, today I'm just gonna put it in this week's folder. But what we'll end up doing is putting it inside of our Express or our expense tracker project. And that's typically the setup you'll see. So just for example, let me bring this over here. So when we were on module 2, we had this expense tracker folder. And so this had our HTML and JavaScript and everything. So in here, and actually I'll just do it right here, we're going to have a folder that we're going to call API. Okay. So this is where you call it server as well if you wanted to. But this is where our server or API is gonna live. Actually, I'm gonna call it server to make it less confusing. Server. Okay. So within our server, let me do this. So we made our directory. I just call it server. We're gonna CD into it because we actually want to create the server there. And then we're gonna do our first npm command, which is init, right? init-y. And what this does is it actually sets up that folder to be ready to bring in npm, to bring in packages, right? So you'll see that here. So let me just copy this. Probably one of the biggest or the first gotchas that you'll see is not CDing into your folder, right? Because if you were doing this on the command line, I don't know what that is, or in the terminal, I should say. I got to get over there. Document. Hey, you're not tabbing for me. Oh, because I'm already in here. Okay. CD curriculum, CD 2026. Nope. CD module. Module 2. And CD expense tracker. So if I was right here and I went ahead and like did touch, or actually I gotta be in expense tracker. Okay. So if I was here and I hadn't made the server folder yet, and I was just like, touch, or I guess it'd be make directory. So make dir, I'll just say server 2. So then I made that directory, but if I forgot to go into it and did an npm init here, then I'm going to init this entire directory as a node project instead of my actual directory I wanted to. So all that to say, just remember to CD into your directory. Okay. I'm going to remove that server 2 though. Okay, so cd into server. All right, cool. Now I can do my npm init-y. Okay, and you'll see once I do this, it just wrote, it created this package.json file. Okay, and you can see right here, it said wrote to blah, 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 my address, package.json. Okay, so if we look at that file now, we can go over here and you can see in my server folder, I have this package.json file. Okay. What this does, this is kind of like the management of your server. And so it gives it a name, which is server in this case. It's going to have the actual scripts, that you can run. So if you have scripts other than like just start, it'll have them in there. And then it will also list all the packages that we bring in. So if you can see, the next step is to install Express. So we're going to run npm install Express. And again, make sure you're in your server folder, because if you run this outside, you're then going to get a bunch of files outside that you did not want. You can delete them, but it's annoying. Okay, so let's go back to our terminal. And we can see here that I'm in the server folder. If I didn't know, how could I see where I was at if I didn't know where I was at? You remember that from like week 3?
ls.
Yep, LS will give you a list. What if I wanted to know like exactly the directory that I'm in right now? It's a very,
It shows you like on the,
it does.
I'm gonna call it title thing.
Yeah. But you can do PWD, which is present working directory. I think it's present. I don't know. But anyway, it'll give you the path like to exactly where you're at. Right. So, but you're right. It does just show right here. So it should be fine. Um, even on here, let me see. Yeah, so I guess on the outside terminal it makes more sense because this isn't really showing me where I'm at, like the VS Code one did. And so PWD would say, okay, you're right. This is where you're at right now. So this is just being nice for us. Okay. Clears the terminal. So now we're going to install Express. So npm install Express. You can also just do npm I. You don't have to write out an install. And then it's going to do this little thing, and then it's going to add a bunch of stuff, and then it's done. So now if we do our ls, you can see now we have two new things, a nodes module and a package lock.json. The package lock, don't worry about too much. It basically just is a snapshot of exactly what our package JSON looks like right now. And so uh, it's just not really that's what it is. Just takes a picture of it. Kind of tells you like what versions you have and things like that. Not a big concern with us right now. The node modules folder, this is where Express is actually coming from. So if we look at that right here, then you can see there's a bunch of stuff in here, right? And this is all kind of boilerplate in node stuff. But then right here we have Express, which is the actual package that we brought in to use. Okay. So every time you bring in a package, you'll do an npm install whatever the package is, and then you'll see it in here. You don't typically have to mess with these, but this is where they live. This is also a very, very large folder. So we do not want to commit this to our GitHub, and you don't ever want to try to send someone a file that has this in here because it is huge. And so with that, what you can actually do, if I were to delete this and I just do npm install or npm I, it's going to bring that back. So you'll see it'll pop up here. Maybe. Come on. Back. Why did it come back? Oops. So I don't know why it's not showing there, but it's definitely here. I think the side's just being weird. Anyway, it is there. Um, so whenever you get a file or a project from somebody else, if it's a node project, then you definitely npm install like as soon as you get it so that you can get all that stuff because it won't work otherwise. And then how does it know which ones to install? That's where the package JSON comes in. So you see now that we have this dependencies array, or I mean object, that we didn't have before, but now we do because we installed Express. Okay. And I don't know why it's not showing up there. It's totally there. Let me close folder. 26. There it is. That was weird. It was there. Okay. All right. So yeah, so we're good on that. So right now we have our package JSON. Again, it's got our dependencies. We have our node modules. So we have Express. Now we need to actually use it. But I will pause there because I know that was a lot really fast. Any questions? Are you all sticking with me a little bit?
I have one question.
Yeah.
How come it looks like there's brackets beside the package lock and the package?
Right here.
Yeah.
So that's a extension I have that shows the different file types and different little icons. So JSON files, it shows the brackets because it's a JavaScript object notation, so it's an object. And then like the JavaScript says a little JS, Markdown, so the little down arrow.
Okay.
But I think it is, let me see if I can figure out which one it is here. Nope, not that one. CSV. Maybe it just comes with it. Yeah, I don't see it anything really installed, but I mean, it's literally just so I can see that. Like it's not affecting the code at all or
Okay,
anything
it's
like
just something to
yeah,
kind of make it look pretty.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm sure a quick Google search or Chat GPT will tell you like exactly what the thing is if you need it. So, yeah, little things. Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, I actually have a question.
Yeah.
I had a little bit of a computer issue while you were explaining. So, okay, so I made the folder for the server.
Mhm.
What command did you do to like actually make it to where it was able to accept packages?
Yeah. So let me go back here. Where am I at? 2, expense tracker, server. Okay, so once in the server folder, then you do npm init -y like that.
Oh yeah.
Cool. And then so that's what sets it up to be a node server. Well, Express makes the server, but it gets it ready to do node stuff, npm stuff.
Okay, so now I have that package.json file.
Yep.
And what did you do to get the package?
Express.
Yeah.
Yeah, so do npm install Express. Oops.
Use the npm install.
Yep. Yeah, npm will be our command. npm install basically will be our command. And then whenever we want to run it, we'll use npm to do that too, but that'll be your bread and butter on the server side.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And you can use install or you can just use I. Like this would do the same. Oop, not that.
Okay, yeah.
Like that would do the same thing. And then if you didn't have your node modules folder, you can just do npm I or npm install. and it's going to look at the package JSON. Hey, go down. And it's going to just install whatever is in your dependencies right here.
Okay.
Yep.
It's in the JSON.
Have we talked about git ignore at all yet?
No.
No? Okay. So that will be one thing we'll definitely want to do. And we can add it in our server folder here. So I'm just going to add, and it's actually a .git ignore folder, or I mean file, sorry. And then within here is where you tell Git, hey, I don't want to include these files whenever I push this up, when I commit and push. And so we do not want to include our node modules. So we can do /node modules / because it's a folder. If it was just a file, we could just do the file name, or even like a .envs we won't put in, which we'll talk about those later. But you notice that node modules went gray on my screen. That's because it's no longer being included. And the reason is because these are very large. And you'll know the first, and you'll do it. The first time you try to push to GitHub with your node modules, it's going to take forever. And you're going to be like, why is it taking forever? Because you didn't ignore your node modules. So notice that it'll happen. And it's not the end of the world. But we'll be sure to keep that in mind as we go. Cool. Any questions on that?
You have to save before it grays everything out.
I have autosave on, but probably yes, if you don't have autosave on.
Why is not graying anything out?
Do you have it as .git ignore
Yes.
and it's in your server folder?
Yes.
It should work. You want to just screenshot this area right here, throw it in the chat or in Slack.
Hmm. Where's that? Say I put it in Slack.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't look like it's grayed out.
No. And you have it like this and you're in the git ignore / node modules.
Yeah.
Go to your GitHub well, I don't know if you have this on your GitHub desktop, but if you go to GitHub desktop, wherever it is, like you won't see it if it's there. You should see your git ignore though. I don't know why I'm not showing my git ignore. Weird. Ignore.
So that
Yeah.
git ignore, that's inside the node modules?
No, it's just next to it.
Just next to it. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Is Laura, your Elizabeth, is y'all's grayed out? I don't know if you were following along or not.
I'm not following along. I'm just watching, so I'll probably follow along with this again later, but
Okay.
I'm just watching right now.
Gotcha.
I was attempting to follow along, but I had to go help a kiddo, so I had
Oh,
to pause for just a second.
no worries. Okay.
I think I might be having I switched from anti-gravity back to VS Code and I didn't really prepare, so I think that might be the issue.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and definitely once we build it out and are getting ready to submit it or push it and everything, we'll look at it closer and make sure it's all good.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're gonna do an Express server real quick. Dun, dun, dun. So I'm just gonna grab this and make a. So we're gonna make our actual server file now, right? So we're in our server folder. We're gonna make a server file. So it's gonna be server.js. Oops. Oh man. Uncopied my copy. I'll put this in. I'll put this in Slack too. If you don't want to put it in your deal there. So since we installed Express, right, we actually need to use it now. And this is there's one of two ways that you can use packages that you bring in. You can require them like we're doing here. And so what we're doing here is we're making an instance of it. You'll hear that a lot. Where you're basically like taking something and then you're sort of copying it. So you're making an instance of it that you're going to then use to do stuff. So in this case, we're requiring, and then this is our package name, Express, which you can look at your package JSON and see your package name here, Express. So you know that's the one you're using. And then we're just storing that instance in this variable right here, Express variable. So then we can use all the fun things inside of that within our app. And so there is a method in this Express package called Express that gives us that instance that we're going to store inside this variable of app. Okay. And so this kind of a what's the word? It's very common. I can't think of the word. It's very common to do this way, where you're going to require whatever it is in a variable, and then you're going to call whatever the thing is into like a variable called app or whatever it is. So then you can use, so app basically becomes that Express object that you can then do stuff on, right? So like document, if we had to bring in document and it wasn't already provided for us in the browser like it was, it'd be like this. Like we would install document, require it, and then have like document equals like document whatever. We're never going to do that because that's not really a thing, but that'd be the equivalent of it on this side. If that, hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Everybody good? Cool. Okay. Cool. So there is middleware we're going to talk about, which is fun. So middleware kind of it sits in between, so in the middle of the thing you're bringing in and then how you're going to use the thing. There's not always middleware for everything, but for Express itself there is. And sometimes you just have to put it in there and you may not even know why. But if you look at the documentation, it'll be like, hey, you need to put this there. So in this case, it's just we're using our instance of Express with this method of use to use Express in JSON, basically. That doesn't need to make sense. Just know you got to have it there. Okay. Cool. So we're going to run this server on port 3000. There are like 19,000 ports or something that you can use on your computer. 3000 is a very common one to use for servers. 8000 or 880 is common to use on the front end. So when we get into React, you'll notice that you'll use that on the front end. If you were running multiple servers, you have one on 3000, one on 3001, one on 3002. like you make this number up basically. As long as you don't have more than one thing running on each port, doesn't really matter. It's like there's standards or like things that people follow, but it's none of it's like a fact. Like you could use 8,000 here and it would work just fine. What matters is when you're trying to hit the endpoints that you know what port you're trying to hit, because that's how you're going to get into your server and into those endpoints is through that port. Okay, and then the last thing we got to do is actually start the server. So tell it to start listening, which is what we're doing here. We're saying, hey, listen, you're going to listen on this port, which is right here, right? So we're going to listen on 3000. You could literally just write 3000 there if you wanted to, but you know, we're writing code, so we got to make variables and stuff. So put port there, and then once it starts listening, once we hit it, then it will say, it'll console log this to our server so we can see it. It'll say, hey, you're running on whatever your port is. Okay. So this is the most basic of servers, but this is a server. Like this will work, and we're going to hit it in a second. But this is the start of it. So again, what we got to do, we got to bring in our package, we got to require it, get the instance of it, do some weird middleware stuff, tell it what port we're going to hit, and then listen. Like those are the 1, 2, 3, 4-ish. Those 4 things, we now have an actual live server that we potentially could put live, and anybody in the world could hit it, right? We're not going to do that because we don't want everybody hitting it, but you could. Right. So to run our server, you're going to go to your terminal, and you're going to make sure that you are in your server folder. So you make sure that that file you're going to run is in this, in your tree right there. And then you can do npm start. So our server is now running. So you can see here that we did get the console log back saying that our server is running. I think I said we'd see that when we hit the server, but that's not what I meant. When we run the server, we'll see this. So you could put other things here like console.log. Hey, I am a cool server running. Any changes you make to the server, you have to kill the server and start them over. There are tools and packages you can use to keep your server running and have it automatically update with changes, kind of like the live server we use on the front end. Nodemon is one in particular, but we're not going to do that right now. So if we kill it, to kill it is, it's Alt-C on my keyboard, but I think it's Command or Control-C normally. And that'll just kill it, and then start it again, npm start. And remember, in the command line, you can push up and down to go to previous commands, so you don't have to retype everything all the time. So there you go. Now we see the changes in our server, right? Super cool. Servers don't have to be APIs. Like you could have a server running that, like, say you want to, I don't know, have it check your email on the hour or something like that. Like you could build a server to just do something, and it could just do it, and you could just have it running all the time. And like it could have nothing to do with the website, right? You could be just doing, like, I don't know, calculating your taxes or whatever you want to do. So just know that, because I think in the beginning, for me anyway, I was like, oh, okay, I got to hook this up to a website. But it's really cool that you can build this thing and have it just kind of doing stuff like automations for you or like whatever it is. So know that. I was building, and I failed, but I didn't, almost failed. A autonomous lawnmower last year, which it didn't cut my grass. But anyway, I had a server running on it that was controlling it from a website. So it's pretty cool. Like something you would, I mean, well, who would think about that, you know? So ton of stuff you can do just to know. There's a lot of stuff. Okay, but in our case, we do want to hit it from our website, or at least from a curl. So today we're gonna hit it from a curl. So in order to hit it though, we do need a route for it to hit, right? And so we're gonna make us a route real quick, and let me bring I'm gonna move this over here. So we're gonna do just a basic get route. Maybe if I can find one. Okay. So our server's running. I'm going to close this. When you close your terminal, that doesn't stop anything. That just removes it from your viewing. So if I close it and open it back up, it's still running. Okay. So I'm going to put in the middle here, your listening part should always be at the bottom of your server. So we're going to do a get route. So anything we do to the server is going to be on this app object. So I'm going to do app.get. And this is a method we're going to call on the Express server. And then I'm going to give it a route. So a route will be a string. And in this case, we're just going to say, let's just call it test. We'll just call it test route. So in order to hit the test route, we're going to have to tell it the URL that we want to hit, and then the port, and then / the route. Okay, which we'll do that in a second. Let's see. I'll explain this in just a second. Okay. So for a get route and for all of our routes, we're going to have, again, the endpoint we're trying to hit, right? When we hit this endpoint, we're going to have this callback function, okay? So this is just a function very similar to what we used on the front end. I think we had, let me see if I can find it. Yes, so like for this submit event listener that we had here, submit was what we were listening for, and then this function was the callback, right? So once we hit submit, it would then use this function or call back this function, right? So we're doing the same thing over here. We just have this route that we're going to hit. So instead of an event, it's a route, like when this route gets hit. And then we're going to have this function happen or callback whenever that happens. And so in this function, we have two parameters, one's rec and one's res. So request and response. Okay. So request is what we're sending. So if we were sending anything through, then we could access it with the request body, okay, or the rec body. And then the response is what's going to come back to us. So in this case, response, we're going to send it as JSON. Actually, we're not going to send it JSON. We're just going to send it. We're going to send this string back, okay, to the calling method, Perl in this case. Okay. So again, this is stuff we already learned, just in a different context, right? Just hitting this route and then getting that callback back to us. Okay. All right. So now is the moment of truth. We'll see if we can actually hit it. We can actually do it in this terminal in here. So we're going to open a second terminal here. And I'm just going to say curl. And this is I'm on a local host, right? Because it's on my own machine. There's nothing, like I'm not going out into the website. And actually, if we go to, let me bring a window over here. So if we go to http://localhost 3000, Okay, we can't do a get, but if we did /test, nothing. Okay, cool. Rude. Shouldn't be. Okay. All right, don't mind that. Let me see if it worked this way. Propose 3,000. Why can't we get? Let's see. Maybe that doesn't need JSON. Yep. All right, let's see what's going on here. So we have a get. Oh, you know what? I didn't restart my server after I added my route. I bet that was it. Let's see. So again, just Control Command C, whichever to kill your terminal, then start it over again. npm start, and then I bet. Let's see if this works for me. Oop, do you have a question?
Oh, let's see. Actually, okay, so how do you actually just show me how you restart the server again?
Yep. Find my million tabs here. So you're on a Mac, right?
Yep.
It should be Command C. If not, Control C. To make sure you're clicked into your terminal to do it.
And how do you know that it doesn't show you anything after?
Yeah, you should have your little cursor back. So when the server is running, you won't have like I mean you can type, but you don't have your line back like this, right? So when you kill it, you'll have your path back there. And the little whatever that is, percentage sign.
Okay, well, I think I have a problem. Because I've been getting back server at 1.00 start and node server.js, but I
Mhm.
haven't been getting back the console logs. And now I'm pretty sure I was never actually in the server.
If you're getting back these two, then you definitely were in the server. Maybe it just something was messed up here, so you weren't seeing the console logs. Because I mean, you don't have to have these at all. Like these could be gone, and all you would see is these two.
Well, the thing is, I never got to the point where it stopped showing like my computer name and the folder that I was in.
Okay, so server probably wasn't starting.
I suppose so.
Okay. Do you want to share your screen real quick?
Sure.
And my stop share button. Okay.
Where's that button at? All right. Okay, so whenever I try to do node server.js,
Oh, just do npm start.
it just did it.
It
Now
worked.
it looks like I'm in the server.
I can't see the bottom of your terminal. There you go. Yep.
Okay, I don't know what changed. It wasn't doing that before. Before I was just getting this, but without.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
So now,
You can use node server.js like you did. More typically though, that's like how you would run like a script or something. With a server, you're going to do npm start mostly. Does the same thing. But sometimes in your start command in your package.json, you might have extra things in there that you need as opposed to just running the script directly. So
okay.
good habit is just do npm start.
Okay. Well,
Cool.
thank you. I don't know.
Yeah. I just had to look at it.
Yep.
All right. Done, share. Okay. Okay. So I killed it, started again. Oop, need to start it again. And then let's see if this still doesn't want to work for us. Oh, because I did the S. Okay. So you can actually go to your browser and put in your server with the endpoint, and it'll give you back what you expect to see. So this is the same, because remember how I said curl is just like a headless browser? So with curl, if we did the same thing, let me go here and clear this. So I did curl HTTP / local host 3000 / test. You see we got back hit test as well, but it's just the data, right? And that's all it is right now anyways, just data. But if this was like a whole website, then what we would get back is just like the data from it, if you will. It's different, but point being, you could test it both ways and kind of see what you're getting back. So in summary, for 2 minutes here, what we did was we made our server folder, we npm init wide our server, or our folder, so that we could use the npm packages, right? And that gave us our package JSON, which is where our dependencies will live. We installed this Express server package, which gave us our node modules. We ignored them. And then we made our server.js folder where we put our little Express server, and we set it up with its middleware. And then we created a route / test, which we then were able to hit with our curl right here. Beautiful. So that's it. Like that's the gist of everything we're going to do from here on out. Is we're gonna build routes that we're going to hit from our front end to do things like add expense to our database, do calculations, get things from our database. I mean, we could go get some weather information if we wanted, like whatever we wanted to do, we could do. But like this is mainly what we're going to do, right? We're just going to say on the front end, hey, something happened. We need to go to our server to do something. Cool, we got a route for it. We're going to hit the thing, do whatever, send it back. Maybe go to the database, do the thing, send it back. That's going to be the whole flow. So it may look small, but this is like super powerful and is how the internet works. So pretty cool. Questions? All good. Cool. I'll post this in the channel so y'all can mess with it. And I put the what you call it, the read and the debug in the homework. There won't be any free code camp. I think I mentioned that. The homework will be similar to what we had. It'll be kind of watch this video or read this thing or whatever. And then we'll just keep building out the expense tracker, get the back end on it, add a database, probably week 2 or 3, and be full stack. It's gonna be awesome. So, cool. Well, if y'all got nothing else, we can let it go and talk to you Saturday.
I do want to mention something I saw.
Yeah.
I think it's for tomorrow, but there's like a Techlahoma event
Mhm.
coming
Yeah.
up.
Yep. There's a social tomorrow from 5 to
Yeah.
9, I think.
Yeah, I saw it on LinkedIn, so I thought, make sure everyone's aware just in case you want to go.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's awesome. It's in Oklahoma City, so Elizabeth, you'd have to make a trip.
I don't know that I will make it tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, the invitation is there. So
Thank you.
yeah, it should be pretty good. It's the first big event they've done this year, so hopefully they'll outdo themselves. So cool. Anything else? All right. We'll talk to y'all either if I see you tomorrow, cool. If not, then see you Saturday.
Bye.
Later.
See you Saturday.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.